why is Andre Ward facing this obscure, unknown Colombian, Alexander Brand? Some people who are not very logical thinkers and who are hell-bent on trashing Andre Ward at any given opportunity, those people believe that Ward is fighting Alexander Brand because he likes easy fights. They believe that he fought Paul Smith because he likes easy fights. They believe that he fought Barrera because he likes easy fights, although Barrera to a lesser degree. Well, let me just shoot down that ridiculous notion and show you why Ward is not fighting Alexander Brand because he likes easy fights. I mean, it's so obvious that that's not the reason why he's fighting him. After Andre Ward beat Chad Dawson, he had a drawn out and well publicized fallout with his then promoter, Dan Goossen. He was in legal proceedings with Goossen at least twice. So their relationship became very frosty, to say the least. Now, when you have that type of relationship with your promoter and you're trying to break out of the contract at least twice, clearly it's going to cause issues when it comes to setting up fights. Your working relationship is definitely going to suffer. And that's the reason why Andre Ward was so inactive during that period. After the Dawson fight, he fought very infrequently over the next couple years. Once Dan Goossen died, Andre Ward got out of the contract and he signed with Roc Nation. Now, I could not understand why this man would sign with Roc Nation when it seemed far more logical to sign with Al Haymon. Roc Nation is a very small outfit in terms of boxing, very inexperienced. Al Haymon has got TV dates right the way across the great swathe of television networks in the United States. So for a guy like Ward who wants to be a big star, going and joining Al Haymon seems like the logical thing to do, or it would have seemed like the logical thing to do at the time, because Haymon can offer him a platform and opportunities, because he's got other light heavyweights out there and super middleweights. Al Haymon's got James DeGale at super middleweight. He's got the Durrell brothers at super middleweight. At light heavyweight, he's got Adonis Stevenson. He's got Artur Beterbiev, etc., etc. Now, I criticize Ward for joining Roc Nation because I didn't think that they were a big enough outfit to be able to elevate his name to the level that he wants to get it. And also they may struggle in terms of getting him decent level of position. Miguel Cotto is with Roc Nation, but Miguel Cotto is already an established name before he signed with Roc Nation. I could sign Miguel Cotto and still sell out Madison Square Garden. You know, just do a couple promos on this channel and have Miguel Cotto tweet out the time and date and whatever of the fight that he's going to be fighting, and have the network promote it on their their channel, and it'd sell out because Miguel Cotto is already an established name, a huge, icon in the sport of boxing. So he don't need any building up. His fights are always going to be events. With Andre Ward, it's not like that. So I felt like he should have signed with a promoter that could have built his brand. Why didn't he? As an outsider looking in, I think the only way that I can explain why he didn't sign with Al Haymon is if there was some type of contractual obligation with HBO. We know he's got a contract with HBO. We know during the time that he wasn't very active because of the dispute that he had with Dan Goossen, we know that he was commentating and presenting for HBO. Perhaps the contract that he had with HBO precluded him from signing with Al Heyman, because Al Heyman, as we know, doesn't have a good relationship with HBO anymore. So maybe that was one of the requisites of Ward's HBO contract, that you don't fight on any other network, and maybe you don't deal with Al Heyman or anybody who may have you fight on a different network. And at the time when Ward was going through that issue with his promoter, he didn't know that Dan Goossen was going to die and that he'd get released from his contract like that. He didn't know that was going to happen. So as far as he was concerned, he was locked into that contract for several years. And so given the fact that it was so difficult to make fights because his relationship with his promoter was so frosty, he thought, you know what, I need to keep the money coming in because I'm hardly fighting now. So I need something. And perhaps that's when he signed that contract with HBO. And perhaps it was a long-term contract, which, like I say, may have precluded him from fighting on other networks or signing with Al Heyman, not knowing that he'd be out of his contract with Dan Goossen, because Dan Goossen would die just in a year or so, a couple years after that. I'm just theorizing here, people. So when Dan Goossen did die, he could sign with anybody. You know, this is my theory. He could have signed with anybody except Al Heyman. So he could have signed with Main Events. He could have signed with Uncle Bob Arum. He could have signed with Don King, but who the hell signs with Don King these days, other than Burmester Stavern? He could have signed with Roc Nation. So those are pretty much the options out there in terms of the United States. Very few. I mean, you got Lou DiBella there as well, but he's more associated now with Al Heyman, and there are many smaller promotional companies that are associated with Heyman. So yeah, he thought, you know what, I'm not going to go with Bob Arum, because for whatever reason he didn't want to go with Uncle Bob. He wanted to go maybe with a promotional team that would give him more control over his career. He chose Roc Nation. Roc Nation being a small outfit, I've always felt they don't have the money to secure Andre Ward decent level opposition unless he's going into a unification like he is here against Sergey Kovalev, assuming he gets past Alexander Brand. Now, I know this is kind of long-winded here, but it's all going to tie in. Andre Ward has not lost a fight, I believe, since he was like 9-10 years old. Andre Ward has never been out of shape. Have you ever seen Andre Ward out of shape? This guy stays in the gym. This guy stays eating right. Ain't lost a fight since, like I say, 9-10 years old. Olympic gold medalist. World champion. Winner of the Super Six. Beat Carl Froch. Beat Kessler. Beat Abraham. Beat Alan Green. Beat Saki Obika. Beat Chad Dawson. This is not a guy who he's not the kind of guy that don't prepare properly. He's the kind of guy that leaves no stone unturned. He's the kind of guy who likes to go into every fight in the best possible condition and as well prepared as he could possibly get. That's how you stay unbeaten for as long as Andre Ward has been unbeaten. You can't do it no other way. Particularly in the amateur system. How on earth this guy stayed unbeaten in the amateurs for that long, I don't know. That's incredible. You're honestly trying to tell me that somebody who is that diligent, a trainer, and is that diligent in terms of the way with how seriously he takes his craft, boxing, you're telling me a guy like that would deliberately take on Alexander Brand as a tune-up, knowing that he's got to face an absolute beast in Kovalev right afterwards because he likes easy fights? Andre Ward wants to be as well prepared as possible. He has come out actually just this week and said Alexander Brand wasn't their first choice for opponent for, a tune-up to Kovalev. Obviously it wasn't their first choice. Obviously he wanted somebody better than Alexander Brand. You would have to be an idiot to think that Ward was taking on Brand because he wants an easy fight. You'd have to be completely stupid beyond belief to believe that. Of course he wants somebody better than Brand. They weren't able to secure somebody better than Brand. And this is like I keep saying, it's because of Roc Nation. Roc Nation are trying to run a tight ship. They're not trying to put all types of money out there to secure these opponents. They ain't trying to do that. They're not an established boxing outfit like that. If it's a Kovalev, yeah, they can front up some money. They can work a deal with Kathy Duva because Kovalev's bringing his own money, his own television money and promotional money and all that type of stuff to the table. But when they have to go out and find an opponent who's not already a star for Ward, Roc Nation's going to have to front up all of the money by itself in a lot of cases. And they're not willing to do that. They're not willing to pay the opponent any type of serious money because they're not a big outfit like that. So this is why Andre Ward has been fighting the likes of Paul Smith and the Alexander Brands of the world. He wants to be as prepared as possible for Kovalev. Fighting Brand is not going to get him as prepared as possible for Kovalev. He's not stupid in a boxing sense. He might have made some foolish business decisions, possibly, but again, it could be down to contractual obligations which preclude him from signing with a promoter that will take him off HBO. It could be that. So, yeah, Brand ain't ideal. I've never seen him fight, but from what people are saying about him and from the fact that most of his fights have been in Colombia, you're not really expecting much come fight night. It is what it is. Ward found himself in a position, if my theory is correct, Ward found himself in a position where he thought he was going to be locked into a contract with Dan Goossen for several years. And the relationship was very frosty. So he thought, you know what, I'm going to have to sign a commentary deal with HBO just to bring the money in, just to pay the bills. Maybe it was a very long-term contract. And now, and there's a lot of people as well who have said that the reason why Ward is fighting Kovalev is because it was one of the requisites. In fact, Virgil Hunter said that. Virgil Hunter said that one of the requisites within Ward's HBO contract, I don't know if he's renewed his fight contract with HBO, but I believe one of the requisites for it was that he fight Kovalev. And obviously he didn't have to agree, to sign that and do that, but he did agree to it. Maybe he felt like, well, there's nowhere else to go, so to hell with it, I'm going to take this Kovalev fight. He did want the Triple G fight, but Triple G's people seemingly didn't really want it. Triple G himself seemingly didn't really want it. They talked about it, but when push came to shove, it seems like they didn't really want that fight. Even though Triple G's people had called out anybody. This is what they said, This is Andre Ward never mentioned fighting Triple G until Triple G's people said that Triple G will face anybody from 154 to 168. That's when Andre Ward came out and started saying, okay, I'll take that challenge. So, it is what it is. This Roc Nation situation, I don't know how long Ward is signed with them for. I don't know how long his HBO contract runs for, but you would hope it's not too long, from his perspective at least, because you don't want to get trapped in a situation. Let's say he beats Kovalev. What then? Where does he go? Who is there to face? Maybe there's this other guy actually, this other Ukrainian fighter whose name I always struggle to pronounce, who's with Bob Arum. Perhaps he can fight him. But still, the kind of exposure that you want to get is the kind of exposure you can get without Heyman on PBC, where you're getting much, much bigger audiences. Ward is not an exciting fighter. That's another problem for him. So if you've got a guy who's not exciting, then when he's putting on the best performances of his life and beating big punchers and dangerous fighters, you want to have those performances on the biggest possible platform in front of the biggest possible audience. And that right now would be on PBC. I don't see Andre Ward as a pay-per-view fighter. He don't set pulses racing like that. So that's why I think PBC would be better for him. But if that's not possible right now, then it is what it is. He has to work with Roc Nation. He's got this Kovalev fight. As long as he gets past Brand, we'll see how it goes. I hope he's getting a hell of a lot better sparring than he is tune-up fights. That's all I can say for his sake. And that's another thing, just to end the video. If Sergey Kovalev has got any sense at all, and his team have got any sense, they will be calling Isaac Chilemba's team and trying to get Chilemba in as a sparring partner for their camp for the Andre Ward fight. That's what Sergey Kovalev's people need to do. They need to get Chilemba in as a sparring partner ASAP, if they've got any sense. Because he gave Kovalev some of the type of problems that Ward's going to give him. So that would be very, very good sparring for Kovalev. He should definitely, him and his team, like I say, if they got any sense, they would have already had that conversation with Chilemba's people. So, yeah, anyway, people, I think I'm about done here. So drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know how you feel. It's your boy Hatman. I'm out.